Concerned over the activities of unscrupulous individuals involved in the unlawful cutting, destruction and theft of electric cables, fire optics and other valuable materials from construction sites and business installation. Now, according to the police, these stolen items are often sold to businessmen, particularly those in the scrap metal trade, who of course profit by reselling them on the market. Now, let's have a wider discussion on this matter. I am being joined on the line by the Police PRO, Cadet ASP Modu Musa Sisaho. For more details, like I said, PRO, thank you very much for joining us. Now, what more can you tell us about this incident and when did it happen?
Thank you very much. Eyeafrica, thank you so very much for giving me the opportunity to have a discussion or enlighten on this issue. Actually, this has been an ongoing concern. We have received various reports from the various locations and various telecommunication companies, including Gambia, since last year, and some of those people were prosecuted. However, it looks like this is something that is persistent, up to date. Yes, of recent we have also received complaints, not only from the telecommunication company, but even people who are building their houses. We've been informed that people would go into people's incomplete compounds when they are what we call wiring the compound, electrifying the compound. They would draw out all the wires, and these are wires that they would now go and sell to the metal scrap sellers or into the business of metal scrap. But also, people also have made propositions that even cars that are stolen at times are taken to certain locations where they are being dismantled and into different parts, and these parts are being taken to these dealers to sell it there. So it's really a concern. And for that reason, the Gambia Police Force is taking this very, very serious going forward. The warning is not only for the perpetrators, but also for people who are in business, because it's so obvious that when you see something that we call a scrapped and something that is made to be scrapped but is actually not, because sometimes they have their own client. When you ask, for example, let's talk about the fiber cable, the optic fiber cable from Gambia. You wouldn't see that and assume it to be a scrap. But even beyond that is most of the junctions where all of these things are joined is a pit hole and is being covered. And most of the coverage, because of the nature of it, the box has a coverage, that is an aluminum coverage, which is equally removed and been sold away. So this is intentional. And especially for the telecommunications, when you go to certain locations where you have them mounted, their receivers there to be able to receive signal and also distribute signal in these areas. The recent one is in around Farato rather, around Brikama end, where one telecommunication kind of attacked where the wires were all cut and drawn, and also the batteries of the solar, which were standby electrification process. So they would remove the batteries, bust it off, remove the copper within it, and this is what is sold to these people. So this is really terrible. So the impact is not just an individual. You would say telecommunications, because if our telecommunication infrastructure is down, that can be a national security concern. Because of recent, you can imagine how important telecommunication is, the internet connection is, and all that. So, and many times we would have information. Gambia will come up with public notice, informing the public that you may be experiencing blackout, because our connection is being caught, is being tampered with within this area. So indeed, all of that together comes to just to tell us how significant this is. And the warning goes to everybody, both people who are dealers who would buy this and people who actually would go to steal people's property and they cut them into pieces and sell it through them.
Indeed, PRO. Well, how often do you receive such complaints? You hear, the police, and as you have just mentioned also, what impact could this have on the different services related to the stolen items or materials?
Yes, the impact is very huge, because if you look at the Gamtel is a national infrastructure in terms of communication. And the importance of telecommunication in recent times cannot be overemphasized, especially the internet connection and all that. Not only internet, but almost everything is connected to the net nowadays. Internally and even externally, our connection with the external world. So it's important that this infrastructure is secured properly and is maintained properly, because when it do go down, it affects services of people. And when services are affected, businesses are affected, economy is affected. So there are a lot of things into this. So this is why we are not taking it for granted. We've taken this very seriously. When the alarm got to a certain level, we realize that this is becoming a serious matter. Because if it is just once, twice, in pocket places now, but of recent, it's becoming, an issue. Every now and then we receive complaints, and also, interestingly, even people who are building compounds. But just to come back to your question, it goes to show how important it is, because on a daily basis, what you are doing, even the telecommunication that you are watching now from Eyeafrica, which is online, if I don't have connections where I am, I may not be able to get that. Yeah. If I want to go on live, Facebook Live and all that, I wouldn't be able to go in a location where the fiber cable or the internet connection is being cut off, just because of an individual, for an individual interest. Because he will just cut off and go and sell it for some kilos, 200, 300, and when that would worth more than in millions. Fiber cables are in millions. Some of these telecommunication gadgets are in millions in terms of dollars, but they will just go and sell it in kilos, 200, 300, or maximum 2, 3, 4,000. So in essence, I think it's important that the public knows about this, so that if you do see people who are actually doing this, you see people who are supposed not to be in places where they're supposed to be. You see people interfering in locations where it is assumed that this, because hardly, if Gamtel is working, it will be notified. They are with their gadgets and their vehicles. This is a company working on something. But just one or two individuals would just come around, sneak around, and try to dig something and cut something. When this is seen, we really want this to be reported so that this can be taken matter. This is an important matter. It's a national security matter.
All right. Yeah. All right. Now, considering the significant impact this could have, of course, on the country or the citizens, as you have just highlighted, is there any warning or advice you may want to put across to the public or anyone involved in such a bad behavior?
Yes. It's one of the reasons why we even publish the public notices or the press release, to notify people that there is a concern, this is what is happening, the police are aware of this, and the police are doing everything to ensure. What we would do is anytime that any individual is caught, for us to set an example on this person or this person, and that is important. And like I said initially, it is not only for people who are actually the perpetrators, but also including also people who are into businesses of this scrap metal. Because they would actually know that these are things that are owned by government or institutions or private companies. This is not just any scrap in the street. But I do understand, maybe because of the quality of certain scraps, the prices are different and all that. But what we are going to say is that this is the last warning. And the Gambia Police Force is going to do everything possible legally to ensure that anybody who is found wanted would face the full force of the law.
All right. Police PRO Modu Musa